we are here to help entrepreneurs either start business or grow your already existing business. I'm here with an entrepreneur guru, my friend Liddell.
Typically, tangible assets hold their value versus non-tangible assets. I'm not against stocks at all, period. I just like for my money to be backed by something that's tangible, physical, that I can go see it and feel it's mine.
What it do, baby? It's your partner looking oh so fresco clean. Let me say it with my chest. You see it? Now take that damn picture. But guys, let's move forward. Welcome to another edition of the Countermove podcast, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to look at situations from an economic standpoint, leaning and reason together, guys, and come up with proper solutions, guys. And today, guys, we're going to tackle a subject that I've been interested in for a long period of time. It has been talked about in several circles, no matter what political side of the aisle that you're on, whether you are a conservative, a liberal, or an independent. This subject has been talked about a lot. And we're going to kind of really unpack this a little bit. All right, guys. So the subject is ESG. Another word for ESG, guys, is environmental, social, and governance. All right. And the question that I want to put on the table for everybody is, what is it? What is ESG? So let's dive right into this thing, man, to see exactly what is ESG. So let's go here, guys. Let me get rid of this real quickly here. Let's read through the definition of what ESG is. It stands for environmental, social, and governance. So what is ESG? ESG is an acronym for environmental, social, and governance. ESG takes the holistic view that substantially extends beyond just environmental issues. ESG is best characterized as a framework that helps stakeholders. Now we're going to define what stakeholders is in a second. Understand how an organization is managing risk and opportunities related to environmental, social, and governance criteria. Sounds okay. All right, guys. We're going to watch this video here in a second as well, kind of unpacking this a little bit more. Okay, but let's read a little bit. There's a little bit more going on. All right, here we go. Well, it says, while the term ESG is often used in context of investing, stakeholders, including not just the investment community, but also consumers, suppliers, employees. All of them are increasingly interested in how sustainability, sorry about that, in an organization's operations are. So this is making the claim that customers, suppliers, and employees are interested in how sustainable an organization's operations are. So it's talking about the operations of said companies that affect the consumer, suppliers, and employees. Okay, all right. Here's the key highlights of it real fast. Then we jump into the video. All right, it says ESG is a framework that helps stakeholders understand how an organization manages risk and opportunities around sustainability issues. Okay, all right, all right. It says ESG has evolved from other historical movements that focus on health and safety issues, pollution and reduction, and corporate philanthropy. Okay, ESG has changed how many investment and capital allocation decisions are made. So it's predicated upon really the capital market, so to speak, the framework behind look like capitalism. All right, all right. Again, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff as well. All right. So let's go over here, guys, real quickly to a video that unpacks exactly what this is. I wanted to look at a video that kind of unpacks what this is so that we can really understand what ESG really is. Let me get to it real quickly here, guys. Sorry about that. Boom, here we go. Now, let's dive into this real quickly and see exactly what this is. Okay, I'm very interested to see how this actually operates. So let's see exactly what it actually happens. So, quick video. Here we go.
ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance. You can think of it as an analysis framework to help measure and quantify the degree to which an organization is operating in a sustainable manner. Environmental assessment criteria help stakeholders understand an organization's impact on the environment and the climate, like its greenhouse gas emissions, and its management team's stewardship over natural resources, like.
So it sounds like it's centralized really around a lot of climate stuff. So it's smelling like a little bit of climate change is a part of this framework as well. Let's keep going.
Fresh water. While understanding environmental risk and impact is a big part of the ESG framework, the concept of sustainability in this context extends well beyond just the environment.
They keep using the word sustainability, which leads me to conclude that in its present context, I'm going to use the word capitalism or the environment is not sustainable as it is. So these changes, in their opinion, needs to happen. Okay.
The S pillar, social, examines an organization's social impact. It seeks to understand how well leadership manages relationships with stakeholders, including fair wages for workers, generating positive outcomes in the communities where they operate, and taking accountability for the actions and inactions of supply chain partners in other parts of the world.
Again, I'm a terms and definitions guy. I heard the word accountability. That normally means something being held accountable. In other words, if this is not done in the proper standpoint, there will be some measures put in place to hold said person or company accountable. Okay.
The G, as we know, is governance. So how is the firm led and managed? Stakeholders are increasingly taking note that a healthy corporate governance function can make or break progress in the E and the S realms, but can even create existential threats for business operations more broadly. ESG as we know it evolved from a number of older sustainability-themed acts and frameworks, including EHS, Environmental Health and Safety, and CSR, or Corporate Social Responsibility. But these older frameworks took more of a philanthropic approach, implying that management teams should do good because it's the right thing to do. What's somewhat unique about ESG is that it looks at these issues through the lens of business risk and opportunity, which tends to resonate more clearly with the investment community. These rapidly changing market and non-market conditions have created the ESG landscape as we see it today. This includes the emergence of ESG rating agencies, ESG scores, mandatory public reporting.
I just heard ESG management agencies and scores. This is smelling like a social credit score. That okay. Let's keep going.
Reporting, often called ESG disclosure, and countless sustainability-themed funds and investment strategies.
All right, guys, come back to me real quickly here. Kind of my initial thoughts, guys, is what I'm kind of hearing is a lot of words like sustainability, which leads me to conclude things are not, in their opinion, things are not sustainable now. And number two, notice the word stakeholder as well. We're going to look at what stakeholders is in the second. I'm terms definitions guy. And then number three, what kind of caught my eye in that short synopsis was there's a credit scoring agency that manages it and also a credit score as well from a social standpoint. Interesting. Bloomberg actually did. Bloomberg News did. What they did was they actually went and looked at a certain thing. They said, okay, let's look at and see how this thing actually works, because there's been a lot of situations to where people didn't understand what it was. And so, guys, I think it'd be wise to kind of lean in. They actually took a deep dive into what ESG was. And what tripped me out is if you look at the title, it says ESG ratings. So they go to credit score system again, are not what they seem. Okay. So Uh, let's see how, to answer this question, let's see how ESG now affects the real world. Okay. All right, cool. Here we go. All right. Let's look at it and see what's going on here. All right. Boom.
There has to be a way in which profits and planet align. ESG, in theory, should help, but that's not what is happening today.
Key thing he said, in theory, he said that's a problem. ESG should, in theory, should help. And he said that's not what's happening. This is Bloomberg. Here we go.
Our sustainable investments benefit you and parts of the world that need it most.
The whole business is built on the idea that you can invest in companies that will allow you to do well as an investor, but also can do some good for the world.
Perhaps the greatest investment opportunity in modern history.
ESG is now big business. It represents, by some estimations, something like $35 trillion worth of investments. And in the last 2 years, it's grown by 15%. And that rate of growth doesn't seem to be stopping.
Okay, so it's growing.
This entire system are ratings that look a lot like the credit ratings of companies, but are based on completely unregulated data. And one company has come to completely dominate that business, and that's MSCI.
Okay. So it looks like ESG is going to try to replace and mimic and or replace the current credit rating system. How they're going to do that? Let's see.
So even though a lot of people are talking about ESG, not many know what goes into making an ESG rating, for example. And that rating is what becomes the basis for decision making for investors.
ESG ratings focuses in on what's significant to a company's bottom line.
What we found is that the foundation of this multi-trillion-dollar new cash machine for Wall Street is not at all what it appears to be.
Wow.
And that it's really almost exactly the opposite of what people think it is.
So what they're about to describe, guys, is they're saying what we just read on that website is not what is really going on. Here we go. Here we go.
I'm Cam Simpson. I'm a senior editor and reporter for investigations at Businessweek and Bloomberg.
Okay.
There are about 160 different companies that sell data and ratings that purport to rate companies on their environmental, social, and governance practices or factors. Because it's a completely unregulated business, because it's completely subjective, the ratings can land anywhere across the board. MSCI's rating system is built on scores, and they're converted into ratings that look like credit ratings.
So
AAA, top of the line, CCC, bottom. By mimicking a credit rating, which is regulated, which is based on regulated data, MSCI has created kind of an aura of respectability, an aura of confidence for the investing world around these ratings.
So what I'm hearing is this ESG is around some type of credit scoring rating. It is. Let's keep unpacking it.
I'm Akshat Rathi and I'm a reporter with Bloomberg News. I write about all things climate. MSCI has been around for more than 2 decades, and it started its life as a company that would arrange stocks in an electronic index. As the company progressed, it found this demand for ESG metrics, that people were interested in not just ensuring that they were making profits from their portfolios, but that the companies within those portfolios were also aligning with society's goals. And so about 15 years ago, MSCI acquired a number of companies that gave it the ability to be able to create ESG ratings. MSCI has become the giant in the field. By one estimate, 40 cents on every dollar that is spent on ESG ratings is earned by MSCI. So what?
So hold on. There is, it smells like there's a significant investment going from companies going into this, an ESG to attain an ESG rating. He talked about 40 cents out of every dollar to gain some type of ESG score. And he's saying this company, MSCI, is profiting heavy in that space. Interesting. Okay.
What MSCI does with its ratings really matters to the entire industry.
So if you're a company, especially a bigger company that's included in the S&P 500, for example, your ESG rating can really significantly help you in the world to get included in one of these funds. It can lower your cost of capital, which also can help you. And so they're really keen to have good ratings. And so when a company's rating goes up, MSCI produces an updated report.
So hold on. Come back to me. Come back to me for a brief second. So what I'm hearing, guys, is this here. There's money being invested to attain some type of ESG score, okay, that's benefit to the company. Now, MSCI, which seems to be over this type of, it's kind of governing this, so to speak. What's happening is they're able to kind of show that uptick in a credit rating because said the company has made an investment to be able to generate a higher ESG credit rating or score. I'm gonna say credit rating, okay. And what happens is because your rating meets a certain standard, I guess predicated by MSCI or MSCI is just mimicking that. What's happening is the cost of capital for said company goes down. That's interesting. But let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going.
That shows what the key factors were that led to the company moving up the ESG ratings ladder, moving up its score, moving up its rating. And so I started just with that, with a list of companies and upgrades, and to see how quickly and how high some of them could climb.
Wow.
We found half of the companies out of the 155 that we looked at got upgraded just for sitting still, because MSCI changed the way it weighted the score or changed the methodology, so their scores went up as a result.
Take McDonald's.
So now we have MSCI, and for some odd reason, when companies doing nothing, just changed the way they actually generated the score, and it made these companies meet the ESG credit score that is needed. It's like MSCI has a lot of power here.
McDonald's, for example, its total emissions are those that match the entire country of Portugal or Hungary. And much of those emissions come from its use of beef. But when MSCI gave it an ESG rating upgrade in April 2021, it did that by reducing the weighting of emissions from a mere 5% to nothing, and instead replacing it with a new initiative that McDonald's had launched around recycling. Except that the recycling initiative came from installing bins in select locations in the UK and France. And when we looked at that, we found that within UK and France, there was either an upcoming regulation or a threat of a regulation which would have forced fast food companies like McDonald's and others to anyway install these recycling bins.
So it looks like McDonald's was forced to make this type of change. Okay? And when they did that, all MSCI did was just change the way that they're looking at McDonald's, and all of a sudden their score went up. MSCI got a lot of power here, and there seems to be kind of a shaking hands of government in this company. Interesting. Let's see.
And so McDonald's essentially got a ratings upgrade for doing the bare minimum that it should have done anyway, and for not being counted for all the emissions it was putting out into the atmosphere.
Wow. Decline to comment. Yes, sir. Yes,
and McDonald's
sir.
is not a singular example. It's actually quite typical. When we look at the 150 upgrades, nearly half of the companies got that upgrade in their ESG rating without even fully disclosing their emissions.
Wow.
We found the factors that were driving upgrades over and over again were for things like what MSCI calls corporate behavior. The other one that also was kind of surprising was data protection, and also the structure of boards deemed to be a factor in potentially having better outcomes for shareholders. Of the 155 rating upgrades that we looked at, we found only one where a reduction in carbon emissions was cited as a significant factor in the upgrade. The ratings system and the ratings themselves create exactly the opposite of what many investors believe they're looking at. When they see a highly rated company, they think that company has strong environmental, social, and governance practices in terms of its impact on the world, its sustainability. But what they're actually measuring is exactly the opposite. Is the company sustainable? Is the value to shareholders sustainable? What's the impact of the world, climate change, water shortages, potentially on the company? It was a hard thing to get our heads around until we saw it all together.
Guys, okay, come on back to your pod. Come on back to your pod. Man, this smells like a straight up scam, bro. Like, come on, come on, man. So what I'm hearing them actually say, this is from Bloomberg. They're saying this. What they're saying is what is being advertised about the mission behind ESG, okay, and getting some type of, it is a social credit score. That's exactly what it is, okay. What I'm hearing these reporters who's actually doing a really good reporting here on this, they're saying what's being marketed as the goal of ESG, they're not even meeting the goal. They're doing the exact opposite of what they are marketing. What in the world is going on here? And they're using real life case studies, McDonald's and other companies as well. And when they actually asked McDonald's for a comment, no comment. I ain't surprised. Man, come on, bruh. This smells like another hustle. That's like another hustle. Why? Yes, sir. Come on, y'all. Yeah, can we keep going? This is going to be probably one of the most informative Countermove podcasts that I've done. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of videos, but I want you to stay to the end. Guys, I'm trying to told you, stay to the end. You're going to be glad that you did. Here we go. Let's keep going.
In the data.
MSCI is the leading provider of investment tools in the world. And as such, our basic raw material are sophisticated models, big data, and advanced technology.
Henry Fernandez is the CEO and chairman of MSCI and has been since the founding of the company. And we met Henry at COP26, where governments meet, but increasingly businesses have been playing a role in shaping the conversation around climate change and how much they are doing to help fight climate change.
We asked him, do you think ordinary investors, retail investors, have any idea that the entire lens of the system is the impact of the world on the company and not the impact of the company on the world? And he said no, that they didn't have any idea. And in fact, he said,
oh my God. Whew. All right, keep going.
That he thought even investment managers who are putting together these funds didn't grasp it. They're not.
So hold on. So let me get this straight. You asked the person who's running MSCI, who has a lot of the power here, do investors or fund managers know what's going on? And he says, no, they don't. Huh? What? This don't smell good at all, on no levels, at all, guys. And this makes it no. I mean, come on, man. This is just bad.
They're not really concerned about the impact on the world, the investment managers. They're fiduciaries, and their interest is in their fees.
He said he's a libertarian and that he would like as little government intervention as possible and wanted to ensure that the use of ESG would be one way in which he can stop any socialist ideas from creeping into capitalism at any cost.
This is a permanent change in the way capitalism works. And by the way, we're doing this to protect capitalism. Otherwise, government intervention is going to come, socialist ideas are going to come, and the like. So it's not against capitalism. It's about dealing with the externalities that are created in capitalism.
Henry Fernandez was born into an incredibly privileged family in Latin America. Henry wound up at Stanford, where he decided to get an MBA. That was really kind of at the height of the greed is good movement on Wall Street. And Henry then decided that he would go into finance. He ultimately found himself at Morgan Stanley, and Morgan Stanley had a partnership with a company called the Capital Group International. By the start of 2019, it was clear that this massive shift, driven significantly by millennials and their pension funds, was really going to take hold. And that created demand for investment managers all over the world to sell investments to the public that purported to make the world a better place. So Henry Fernandez took his bland kind of back office Wall Street company and he rebranded it, and he's done pretty well from it since.
Your company has had an amazing run since it was spun off from Morgan Stanley. What'd you say, up 10 times since 2008?
More that. We went public at $18 a share 12 years ago, and it's $220 today.
Henry.
Well, understand this, guys. MSCI, which the company that Henry actually runs, they make 40 cents on every dollar because people are investing money into their firm to generate a higher ESG score rating. He's making a killing on this new stuff. So, and he's doing it in the name of making capitalism better, and because he didn't want socialism to come in. Well, at the exact same time, he has cornered the entire market. This guy, interesting. Hey guys, let's keep it moving.
Appears to be the first ESG investing billionaire. His shares are now worth about $1.3 billion, which makes him almost as wealthy as Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple.
Companies have a hard time oftentimes getting their founders, getting their directors, getting their executives to invest in their businesses. Henry has his whole net worth in his business. Basically, his board actually said to him, "We'd like you to sell a little bit of stock, Henry." And Henry said, "I'm not going to sell stock. I think I'm going to make 3 or 4 times my money in the next 10 years. Absolutely. Why should I sell any stock? What am I going to
ESG ratings have...
Now, get this, guys. I have to give him a little hand clap of praise. He's cornered the market on this whole thing. Everybody has to go to him. They have to go to him to get a higher rating. He's making 40 cents on every dollar. You better believe he's going to want to reinvest in this company because he's right. They're going to make 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times that amount of money because all the money is flowing to his company. This is easy to see.
Things have come under the scanner in recent years. And so in this wild west of ESG ratings, regulators now are honing in on figuring out a way in which they can standardize how ESG ratings are made and make sure that ESG ratings don't end up greenwashing a company's activities.
The Securities and Exchange Commission has come up with a regulatory agenda to bring in more regulation as far as ESG disclosures are concerned.
It'll be critical.
Come back to me. I'm kind of confused because we just heard Mr. Henry say that he did not want government to get involved. We are now seeing. Let's go back. We're now seeing, guys, the SEC climate initiative. I thought we wasn't trying to get the government involved. I thought that was the goal. I'm thoroughly confused of how now all of a sudden now. The intention was for government to not get involved, but now they are involved, which kind of shakes hands exactly with what these reporters are saying concerning what Henry was talking about when it came to investors and fund managers who they don't know what's going on. They are advertising the goal of ESG and the functionality of it and what they're trying, the intention of it. But on the flip side, that's not what's happening at all. Man, this smells like a straight up scam, man. A hustle. My word, guys. This smells like a hustle to me, guys. And the guy running it is making 40 cents on every dollar that's coming in because companies are funneling money his way to be able to get this done. From a business standpoint, I can appreciate the hustle, but at the exact same time, it's false advertising. You're advertising one thing while on the other side doing the exact opposite. man, I can't trash. I'm sorry. That don't make sense to me at all, guys. It makes sense to me at all. All right, guys, let's dive into the real world implications of what we just heard concerning ESG. I want to bring into this thing Patrick Bet-David as well as Dan Bongino. What actually happened is Patrick actually sold his company a couple of months ago, okay, for a hefty amount of money, which is great. I want you to pay close attention to what he says concerning what the private equity and venture capital companies were asking about concerning the sale of his company, okay? Let's bring them in. Let's dive into this, guys, and pay close attention to what he says concerning the questions, okay? Here we go.
America is now offering mortgages in Black and Latino neighborhoods for super cheap. Here are some of the perks: 0 down payment, 0 closing costs, no minimum credit requirement. What a deal. What could possibly go wrong? Doesn't that sound a lot like the 2008 financial crisis and how that started? You know, mortgages were handed out like candy. Halloween just passed, you know. Hey, didn't they make a movie about that once?
My firm offers ninja loans. No income, no job. You know, I just leave the income section blank if I want. Corporate doesn't care. These people just want homes, you know. And then
listen.
Good for you.
Your companies don't verify.
Listen clearly.
The only ninja loans I want to see are loans made to Sho Kasugi. If you're up in the 80s, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Listen.
Joining me now is someone who's been warning about the dangers of these ninja-like loans, entrepreneur Patrick Bet-David. Patrick, welcome back to the show. Listen, these loans obviously look attractive, Patrick, but we've seen the playbook before, man, and we know the results. Are we really doing this again?
Well, I think what, by the way, thanks for having me back on. I think what B of A is doing, they're looking at $15 billion as marketable expenditure to get their DEI score to be better or their ESG score to be better, because nowadays it's a lot about DEI.
Hear what you said, DEI and ESG. He's going to describe what these is. Listen.
You know, diversity, inclusive, equity. So this is one way of doing it. It's not for everybody. I want to say the markets are only Detroit, Dallas, LA, Charlotte, Miami. They're not doing this across the board. It's specifically to increase their DEI score. If they did this across the board.
Now, do you hear what he's saying? To increase the DEI score, which is the ESG score, that's what that actually is. He described what it was. Didn't that sound eerily similar to what the Bloomberg reporters were actually talking about? Guys, listen clearly. Listen intently. This is somebody that just sold his company, okay?
The board to everybody else, then we would have a problem. But one thing we have to consider is Bank of America can afford to lose $15 billion if this doesn't work, because they're sitting on $780 billion of cash, and that's a lot of money for them. So this is purely a marketing effort to go out there and have nice scores and be on the good graces of maybe the court, Congress not coming after companies like them.
You hear what he's talking about, the good graces, okay? So now we're looking at, you heard him talking about a private equity company. He's going to come in and go into it in a second. But you hear him talking about how they're making these investments to increase their ESG score. Okay, we just understood that MSCI is a company that's actually making fortunes on the dollar with these investments. Yeah, let's keep going. Come on, let's keep going.
So, Patrick, just to kind of reiterate to the audience what you said, because it's an important point.
Yes.
This is not about finance here or economics.
Listen.
This is strictly about woke culture, diversity, equity, and inclusion scores, and basically making an appeal to the woke community. Hey, leave us alone. Look what we're doing.
Listen,
I just recently went through selling one of my companies in the last 5 months, and we sat down with 50 different private equity, many of these bigger names that you know about. I can't tell you how many of them asked about our DEI score, because they're being asked that on the other end regularly. They want to ask questions of what percentage is Hispanic, what percentage is African American, what percentage is this, what markets are you in? They're being pushed. ESG is a real thing, and DEI scores are a real thing.
So guys, this is an active investor in a space that I am very familiar in. Okay, let me come back over to me real quickly here. This is an active investor. Okay, this is an active investor that just sold his company. Okay, and what he was saying is he's gotten several different asks from venture capital companies. A lot of them that you may know, you may not know, but they're probably the top 10. Okay, all right. They've been asking about his DEI, which is an ESG score, because on the other end, what's the other end? Well, governments. Take our partners on that side as well, asking them about the ESG score, guys. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is real. Okay, you just heard about this guy. This is real, guys. So I thought it'd be wise to bring them in, guys. So let's keep it moving, guys. Let's keep moving. Let's get this thing moving. Now, I want you to also see exactly what's going on also and how this is going to begin to bleed into the real estate space. Okay, guys. Again, this is another real world case study. Okay, I'm going to bring in somebody that you may be familiar with. Okay. This is going to be Glenn Beck. I want to bring him in real quickly here, guys, because I want you guys to see exactly what he's talking about. Okay, he's going to be talking about how ESG is going to begin to, even because you heard Pastor talk about it concerning B of A, okay, and how they're okay, they can lose $15 billion, but you're going to begin to see how the ESG score is going to begin to bleed, or it's already bleeding into, or going into, I would say, the real estate space. Listen intently to what Glenn Beck is talking about here, guys. Okay, here we go. Let's dive right into this thing. Come on, Glenn, talk to us.
About the Great Reset and ESG. ESG is regarded by many in mainstream media as a hoax, as something that just is not happening.
We just heard, guys, it is not a hoax at all. We've heard that it's not a hoax at all. So if someone telling you that it's a hoax, something's wrong with them. Okay, it is not a hoax. Understand that it's not a hoax at all. Let's keep moving.
One is from Bloomberg, and it will show you how it is working on the highest of levels.
Bloomberg back,
and it is the E. Now, some people will admit, okay, the E is happening. Yeah, we're getting rid of fossil fuels, so the E is happening.
Listen,
but not the S and the G. So let me just give you the first one. The head of the World Bank came under fire recently for not being tough enough on climate change. This is, by the way, in Bloomberg. So now he's going to go all in on ESG. World Bank President David Malpass calls for expanding the development lender's mission to explicitly include public goods such as climate change. Weeks after his hesitance,
he knows he's a climate change. Remember, in the definition that we actually heard at the beginning of the show, it talked about climate. Guys, this is real. Keep it going.
To publicly confirm his belief in global warming led to calls for his removal. So he's like, well, I'm not sure we know all of the causes of global warming. Everybody in the power players, they all said, he's got to go.
Wow.
Well, he didn't. Instead, managers at the Washington-based institution will now review its operational model and financial model to find ways to boost lending, including using more grant and blended finance. Malpass said in a note to bank staff on Monday and seen by Bloomberg News. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen last month proposed changes for the World Bank and regional development banks, pushing them to move beyond country-specific loans to address global threats and speed the flow of private capital to poor and emerging economies. The U.S. is the world's largest shareholder of the World Bank. Oh, okay. So they want to get a little more aggressive in loaning money to poor countries.
Okay. Listen.
Now that's the E. Let's go to the S.
Yeah.
We actually have people now in legislatures, Republicans, all over the country that deny ESG is even real.
So for anyone saying, let me come back to me real quickly, guys. So anybody saying, and this is including the conservatives, liberals, or libertarians, they're saying the ESG is not real, they're lying to you. They're lying to them. I'm sorry, they're lying to you. Simple. It's a lie. Let's keep going.
October 24th, the FHFA, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, announced that lenders will soon be required to use two new credit scoring models.
Wow.
FICO 10T and Vantage Score 4.0.
Yeah.
In order to sell mortgages to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Stop right there. In order to sell mortgages to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Now it's going into real estate lending. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Listen.
Now, the FA is the one that oversees the public-private institutions. Remember, we're all about public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
So Freddie and Fannie, what do? They own most of the mortgages. They underwrite. They backstop most of the mortgages in America. The government is on the hook for those. Your bank doesn't own your house.
Nope, not at all.
Freddie or Fannie most likely own your house. Okay? And if you're going to sell something to them, well, then they need to see the Vantage Score 4.0. These, quoting the article, these two new credit scores are deliberately designed to make millions more of people eligible to purchase homes.
Okay.
Vantage Score.
You just heard it. This Vantage Score is going to be put in place for people, for millions to be able to purchase homes. Keep it going. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's keep it going. Let's think. Let's reason.
Score estimates that 37 million people will receive a credit score under their new model alone that are not currently captured by a FICO score.
Yeah.
About 10.7 million will have a score of 620 or above.
Yeah.
The minimum score for a mortgage that can be sold to Fannie and Freddie. Under the new credit model, people will be able to improve their scores by engaging in activities that don't have anything to do with capital ownership or credit history.
Wow. Does that sound just like 2008? We just saw a brief video. I believe that was of the movie called The Big Short, I believe, in Dan Bongino's show with him and Patrick. And you saw a little scene there. Did that sound familiar? Here we go.
What will they be scored on?
Good question.
I wonder.
Good question.
Couple of things here. Stu, why does everybody that lived through 2008 know the names Fannie and Freddie?
Come on. Yeah.
They're central to the mortgage meltdown.
Yes, they are.
Oh, they were. Why? How?
Break it down.
Partially because they were giving out mortgages to people who didn't traditionally qualify for them.
Right. And they were backed up because the banks were told,
you better do this stuff. We need to get home ownership rates up.
Right.
We need to.
You hear what he said? You better do this. Did that sound oddly familiar with why companies are making these investments and see this ESG thing? You better do it, or here we go.
We need to have higher rates of diversity among homeowners. So they gave it to people who may be great people, but maybe didn't have the credit scores or the resources or the finances to actually pay them back. They were risky mortgages.
Risky.
They bundled them all together. They created all sorts of collateralized debt, obligations on top
CDOs.
of them, and the whole house of cards
That's
fell apart.
Now, guys, come back to me real fast. Let me tell you this. Let me say this real quickly. Between 2008 and 2013, I made so much money in real estate because of these type of loans. So much money. I bought so many properties on sale. It was glorious for me, from a financial standpoint. For me, I hated it for the consumers because they got taken advantage of, and some of the consumers also, to be 100 with you, knew what they were doing. They still did it anyway. So there was culpability on the government's portion, on the company's portion, as well as on the consumer side as well. But I made a ton of money on stuff just like this. Yes, sir. Let's keep it going, guys. Let's keep it going.
Amazing. So now 37 million Americans are going to have the door open. And at least 10 million, almost 11 million, will have the score that now is above. They can't afford a house now. But when they improve their scores by engaging in activities that don't have anything to do with capital ownership or credit history, they can have a higher score so they can buy that house.
That is a death wish. That is a financial death wish, guys. That don't make no fiscal sense at all. Can't afford a property to buy a house, but if you do certain actions that can drive up your score, your ESG score, now you magically qualify for a home. Financial suicide. Keep going.
Oh, that's
so they're
great.
They're not going to become more credit worthy.
Yeah.
They're just going to become better people.
Better people.
Like they love the environment
Better
more than another
people.
person who might have a higher credit score, but we'll give
Trash.
them the mortgage because they love
Trash.
clouds and the sky and trees.
Clean air.
Wow.
They'll be able to sell mortgages to people, including many who are probably unqualified. Banks and mortgage companies will be able to do that, and then immediately sell those to Fannie and Freddie Mac, unloading the liabilities on the back of the banks and instead shoving it right to the taxpayers' back.
Does that not sound like 2008? The answer is yes. Keep it going.
Banks and mortgage companies will make truckloads of cash without really any risk.
That's exactly what happened in 2008, guys. Mortgage companies and banks made a ton of money, hand over fist. It's going to happen again. Here we go.
Almost as importantly, those companies participating in the program are also going to receive a boost in their ESG score because they are now helping improve racial equity.
So let me get this straight. Okay. All right. Let me get this straight. Banks are going to be incentivized by an ESG credit score rating to begin to not qualify borrowers to see if they can afford said house, a house that they want to acquire, okay? They're not going to look at the qualifications from a financial standpoint of the borrower. They're going to look at if the borrower is a good person based on ESG scores. Now, by the banks doing that, they now get a higher ESG score. So they can lend out more money to these borrowers that can't qualify for the mortgages. But at the exact same time, Freddie Mac will come in, and Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac are going to come in and buy up all these mortgages. Essentially bailing out all the banks and the mortgage companies, okay, and putting it on the back of the consumers. That sounds kosher. That is a bunch of straight trash. Garbage. This is laughable. This is laughable. This is laughable, y'all. Let's keep it going. It gets worse. Hold on, it gets worse. Hold on. Wow.
Oh, person A shows what a great citizen they are. And then group B gives them a better rate, which shows them what a great citizen they are.
Right.
And then since person A is doing business with group B, that probably raises their ESG score again.
Yes. Oh, wow. And then group B or A, the bank, can sell it to you.
Yeah.
And now it's on your back.
And now, and I probably get a boost in my ESG score just for taking on that terrible debt that shouldn't be anywhere other, that should have never existed in the first place. This is trash. This sort of circuitous idea that you can continually. I mean, this is Schrute bucks.
Oh my God, this is bad.
Dwight Schrute comes into the office one day and he's got his own currency at his beet farm, and everyone's like, that'll work. Just keep spending Schrute bucks on it.
Trash.
Well, that's not the economy does not work on Schrute bucks.
No, not at all.
This is going to make the housing market more unstable.
Yes.
It will distort the market. It's going to cause another 2008 collapse.
Yes, it is.
Remember, though, the people who are pushing ESG want you to own nothing and be happy.
Oh,
so let's think this through. What happens when you add 10.7 million people to the housing market without increasing the supply of homes? More money in the market chasing fewer homes.
Preach that gospel.
That means inflation. The price of housing will go up a ton.
Yes,
and
sir.
Who owns a lot of the single-family homes these
Here it
days?
comes.
Oh, hedge funds like BlackRock.
They're
going to make out huge from this. And they're
okay, yeah, hold on. Let me come back to your partner, man. So, y'all know, I've said several times, but for those that don't know, BlackRock, the hedge fund, began to buy entire subdivisions, guys, paying 25 to 50% over the asking price. We're talking about entire subdivisions, okay? All right? What they're talking about is this here. It's now they can put those new homes on the market, all right, at the inflated price point because what? Inflation. And now this E.S.G thing comes along. They can now sell those properties that they bought, they overpaid for, at a new appraisal value, which is going to be a higher appraisal value based on this E.S.G credit score, and they can loan it to you to with bad debt because it's not based on if you can financially afford the property. It's based on if you are a good person based on these E.S.G scores. And now the money that they actually invested, which they overpaid for the property, they get that money back and 5, 10, 15, 20% more. This is the biggest con ever, man. Oh my God. Yo, I'm sorry. This is laughable, man. This is laughable. God damn. Let's keep it going. It gets worse. It's getting worse. This is, wow. Oh my God.
And they aren't worried about competing with those folks who are entering the marketplace.
Oh, not at all.
They don't even have enough credit to have a credit history.
Wow.
Never mind win bidding wars with, BlackRock or other Wall Street firms. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Biden has bragged that this will make the market more inclusive. And that industry stakeholders support the moves.
Stakeholders, I got a word.
This is great. Now, I want you to know this important part.
My God.
This is not coming from me. Vantage Score is selling their credit model by making the promise. I want you to go to vantagescore.com/capital-markets/ESG.
You know what, guys? Real quickly, let's actually go there real fast, y'all. Let's go right there. Let's see if this actually. Let's see here. Hold on one second. Let me get to Vantage Point real fast. Let's go ahead, guys, and see if this Vantage Point thing here. Where'd it go? Where did it go? This Vantage Point. Here we go. If this Vantage Point thing actually Vantage Score, I'm sorry, is intertwined with an ESG. Let's just see. Okay, let's just see. Here we go. Let's go here, window, and here we go. Bow. This is the exact same thing he talked about. Okay, Vantage Score. Ain't that what that say? Creating social value through what? E.S.G. Man, this is how they're selling their credit scoring system through E.S.G. Wow, here we go, y'all. Securitization issuers and institutional investors that leverage Vantage Score are able to what? Leverage best-in-class accuracy. Include underserved, including minority and low to middle income consumers. That's so let you know who they're after, which is the backbone of the economy. Okay, demonstrate their commitment to it. Here we go, earning a higher score. Here we go. Demonstrate their commitment to ESG without sacrificing a predictive performance or transparency. Oh my God. Here we go. We now utilize Vantage Score, which is Vantage credit scores, to assist in our assessment of credit quality, as we believe Vantage scores more U.S. consumers and potential applicants as compared to our prior use of FICO credit scores. Top 5 credit card issuer. That's what they're saying. So they're going to sacrifice any financial wherewithal. That means nothing at all. Are you a good person? And you are now a good person if you, who can't afford to get the debt, now get a loan to buy a house at a higher price point because of the inflation. At a higher price point, it's going to cost you more. We don't give a damn about none of your financial wherewithal, or you're a good person. We're going to give you the loan. That seems like a great deal. Get the hell out of here. This is trash, y'all. At the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. At the bottom. Same thing, y'all. Remember what he said? So this is how you know Glenn Beck ain't lying. Look at this. Impact. VantageScore is able to assist scores to 37 million individuals deemed unscorable by conventional methods. Okay. Also, 1/3 of these million consumers are from Black, 5.5 million, and Hispanic, 5.2 million communities. Approximately 3 million of those who previously had no credit score, okay, scored 620 or higher with Vantage Score. So initially, under the FICO score, they had no credit score. Under Vantage, now magically they got a 620 without analyzing anything at all. Concerning if you had the financial wherewithal, your income, no. Are you a good person? This is straight garbage, yo. This is trash. I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't trying to be an a-hole, y'all. This just don't make no damn sense on no levels. I know, guys, this has been one of the longest Countermoves I ever did. But this is E.S.G. I had to kind of go in real fast. I'll let you know exactly what was going on now. So this is called the Countermove. So what is the Countermove? All right, very simple. How do you protect yourself from this E.S.G. agenda? If you don't like it, take your power back. How will you do that? Okay, no problem. If you don't like E.S.G, okay, don't do business with companies implementing the E.S.G agenda. It's simple. What I mean, what companies are you talking about, Liddell? Let me say it again for the folk in the back row. If you don't like E.S.G, don't do business with companies implementing this E.S.G agenda. It's extremely simple. How do you do it? You ask them. Do you guys use a Vantage scoring system or a FICO scoring system? Ask them these questions. Ask them. It's simple. If you get qualified for a loan and they ain't ask you for anything financial at all, ask questions. Because that's not normal. Because the difference of a loan is you got to pay it back with interest. If you can't pay it back with interest at all, if you lack the finances to do that, don't get the loan. It's simple. All right, guys. All right. So what I mean by who do you ask? I will move your funds over to local banks. Use local banks, not the national, the local, maybe even regional banks, okay? And local grocery stores, local vendors, things of that nature. Begin to make decisions better with your dollars so that these companies who are using the income that you're paying them, okay, to invest with MSCI, which is what we saw before, who's making 40 cents on the dollar for every dollar that's invested with them, okay? Take your money from them. Take your power back and begin to make better decisions and invest with companies that do not operate by this ESG agenda. It's very simple, guys. Very simple. All right. And also, what I would do is create your own parallel economy by partnering with companies that are in line with your personal agenda. What that means is your family have a mission statement, guys. What's your mission statement? What are your personal agendas for you and your family? If they're in line with the ESG companies, do business with them. If they're in line with them at all, don't do business with them. It's up to you. Take your power back. It's time to put your big boy pants on. It's time to do it, guys. It is time. You get to choose. Either do business with companies that are doing ESG or not. It's simply up to you. All right, guys. I would just say this here. Concerning what they're actually doing, guys, as far as qualifying for these type of loans, guys, with the ESG scores, as far as from a structural standpoint, from a functionality standpoint, that's a failing model. From a financial standpoint, it doesn't make any fiscal sense. Okay? Unless you are at the top of the food chain. But as far as from a functionality standpoint, as far as the system, it didn't make any fiscal sense at all.
Long live the king.